Hey everybody, welcome back to Shock and Schlock. I'm your host, Herschel Gillis, and today, once again, I'm bringing you no tapes in my hand. I won't tomorrow either, because these four films that I'm going to be reviewing today, I'm going to go over them pretty quick because my feelings kind of remain true for the four of them. I'm going to rank them real quick at the end there too, but these are available on Tubi, so um, you can watch them up there for free. All four are up there. And that is, of course, the Hatchet series from Adam Green. Um, that being Hatchet 1, 2, 3, and Victor Crowley. Hatchet came out in 2006 originally for the first one, 2010 for the sequel, 2013 for the third, and 2017 for the fourth in the series. So, what is Hatchet? Um, they're all loosely connected. They all have the same character, but they're all like loosely continuations. You can really you get the story of them if you watch them out of order, but it essentially is about the ghost uh, slasher Victor Crowley. He's like this mutant with a huge hatchet mark in his face that he got during childhood, where his dad accidentally hit him in the face with a hatchet. Played by Kane Hodder, so he's this huge buff guy that moves around like Jason Voorhees and Leatherface, and all four of them. Well, the first two really. Part one has a group of tourists, like young 20s kids going there for Mardi Gras to Louisiana. Um, and they go on this boat ride run by Doctor, or not Doctor, I think it is Doctor actually, Doctor Voodoo, played by Tony Todd, who does a great job in the first film. Um, and of course, things go awry. Boat is gets stuck, and they are hunted down by Victor Crowley. The sequel, same sort of story. The events of the first one have happened, but a new group of people are going on this boat. They're going to try to hunt down um, Victor Crowley. Um, and it's this follows that. Sorry, I got distracted there by something. Um, it just follows a new group of people. Essentially the same thing. This time they're hunting for him, but it's still like the group of like misfits and oddballs of like various things, trying to hunt him down. Things go awry. You're gonna find that these follow a pretty typical slasher thing. That's why I'm talking about the plot lines so quick on these. Hatchet 3. I don't want to spoil that one as much, but we'll just say that there's like a group of people that once again go to clean up a mess from the second film, and has a group of like police and military and everybody, journalists and everything trying to check out what happened. And Victor Crowley, which was, I believe, not originally intended to be a film, but Adam Green got contacted by George Romero to make another Hatchet film. Like, he got told by him, and he just decided to. I think that's how it went, at least. Once again, same sort of idea, but one of the survivors from the original Hatchet film is coming. It was either Hatchet 1 or Hatchet 2. These films kind of ran together. I did watch them in a row, so I should remember, but they kind of run together a little bit. But it doesn't matter. One of the survivors comes back 10 years later. He's like sort of famous. He wrote a book about the incident that happened to him, and he's going to get paid this exorbitant amount of money to return and like talk about the events that happened with his publicist. And there's also a group of teenagers that are flying down there to film a movie about the events. The plane crashes, obviously, and once again we're hunted by Victor Crowley. That's it. That's the basic thing. The only connecting factor between these are slasher films with Victor Crowley. They're all horror comedies, which is something that surprised me. I expected these to be a lot darker than they were, but they're actually pretty funny. Part 1 is not my favorite of the series. Probably my second favorite, though, but it definitely gets like it sets the tone for the rest of the films to come. And these are all really short, so you can just blast through these in a day. Um, I thought of these almost as like TV episodes and like this, things. It's so short. Um, the first one's funny. I think the cast all did a good job. The gore in this is great. My main complaint about the first film is that it takes a little while to get going. About half of the film is like not even the slasher aspect, but it is funny. The actors all did a pretty good job. It definitely feels like a mid 2000s slasher horror comedy thing that's trying to be a little bit too much like Scream or something like that. Um, but still, it's a fun movie. It's a quick ride. It's enjoyable. Um, Even when it's not like the slasher part, there are still jokes in this, and it's not as funny as the sequel. The sequel I strongly prefer over the first. I think the acting is better. I think the story is a little bit tighter. The characters are better written. It just feels like the first one, kind of more fully realized. The gore is better. It's more creative. That's something that continues through all these. Victor Crowley is very creative in the way that he dispatches people compared to other slasher villains, and it makes for a fun ride. And these films never take themselves super seriously, so the gore is always over the top, cartoonish. There's even like in jokes about like the same tree getting splattered with blood after certain kills. It's yeah. It has a lot of cameos um, as well, or not really cameos, but like big name actors from like horror films are in this one. Tony Todd once again is in this one, does a great job. Um, yeah, just really enjoyed the second one. Strongly over the first. The final girl from the second one goes to the third as well. Um, the third one is my least favorite of the series. I'll say that now. It is a little bit more serious. There's less jokes. The gore is worse. Away from one final part that was done pretty well. The kills are a little bit less creative. Um, yeah, it just felt a little bit more like mediocre, just like every other slasher movie. It lacks the heart of the previous two, I would say, because the previous two are pretty charming in a weird way, and it's something that you can watch with like a group of friends and have fun with. Hatchet 3 is a little bit more serious, and I just didn't care for that. Victor Crowley kind of redeems the series a little bit with that fourth entry. Really funny. The cast is great. It has Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp, Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers, actually, who does a surprisingly good job in this, and it's not just like a reference or like a cameo. He's actually main character. Um, and it's a lot of fun, and it's fun seeing returning characters in the previous films as well. So, um, definitely enjoyable. The gore is a lot worse. It's definitely cheaper feeling than previous films as well, even compared to the third. But at least it has the humor and like the charm of the first two there as well that the third was lacking. All of them are pretty good though. I would say my ranking of them would be part two, part one, Victor Crowley, and then part three. Um, but they're all worth a watch, and they're all on Tubi TV for free. I highly recommend anybody who hasn't seen these to watch them, especially if you're a fan of like modern slasher films. These are a lot of fun. If you're a fan of the '80s slasher movies and '90s, like that whole like golden age of slasher films, and you've been disappointed with a lot of the stuff that's come out in the 2000s, and you somehow missed out on these are well worth a watch. Definitely feels like something like Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon or a Scream, but a little bit less like self-referential humor in that. Um, but yeah, they're a good time. I think these are definitely like the cream of the crop as far as modern slasher films go. So, highly recommended to check them out. That's it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to be reviewing Muzan E, aka Celluloid Nightmares. And yeah, as always, I've been your host, Herschel Gillis, signing off for today. 0 thoughts, 0 editing, 0 brain cells, and 0 planning. This has been day 14 of the 31 Days of Horror Reviews. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and keep notifications on. Thanks, guys.